Living in search of external validation is like breathing with a borrowed tank. Sooner or later, it runs out and leaves you without air. Every time you hope for others to applaud you, to approve of you, or to recognize your effort, you hand over control of your life. And when that recognition does not come, you feel empty, fragile, and adrift. That is the price of living dependent on the gaze of others. What many do not understand is that rejection, loneliness, and misunderstanding are not enemies. They are doors. Doors that push you in the only direction that matters, inward. Society has programmed you to believe that without approval you are worthless, that without company you are incomplete, that without being understood you are lost. But the truth is different. Real strength is born when you learn to stand on your own without needing anyone else to do it for you. Accepting this is not comfortable. It means facing painful silences, accepting judgmental looks, and enduring burning rejections. But in that fire, discipline, clarity, and authenticity are forged. It's not about becoming cold or distant, but understanding that the power of your life can no longer depend on volatile applause. Detachment is not indifference, it is self-respect. This video is not to please, it is to open your eyes. Here, you will not hear beautiful phrases designed to calm you. Here you will find a brutal reminder. If you continue living dependent on external validation, you will remain a slave. But if you dare to leave it behind, you will discover that within you there is a strength that does not break with rejection, loneliness, or misunderstanding. Stay until the end, because here I will give you 8 stoic attitudes that are not theory, but concrete practices to cut the dependence on the approval of others and build a silent, strong, and unbreakable power. 1. Validate your life from within. A tree growing at the top of a mountain does not ask the wind for permission to stand, nor does it beg the sun to admire it. It simply extends its roots in silence, draws strength from the earth, and stands firm against the storm. That tree does not seek validation. It does not need someone to applaud it to grow, because it knows that its strength comes from deep within. That's how your life should be if you want to stop living chained to external approval. As long as you keep measuring your worth based on what others say or keep quiet, you will be building your identity on fragile ground that crumbles with any word of rejection. From a young age, we are taught to seek recognition, a good grade at school, a gesture of approval from parents, praise from friends. Gradually, without realizing it, this search becomes an addiction. You start to depend on looks, comments, and gestures that validate every step you take. And when that validation does not appear, the void opens like an abyss under your feet. But what no one tells you is that this need never ends, because external approval is a bottomless pit. Even if you receive applause today, tomorrow you will feel the same emptiness again, desperately seeking another recognition to cover the inner silence. Validating your life from within means breaking this cycle. It means to stop begging for what only you can give yourself. It's not about becoming arrogant or closing your ears to all advice, but recognizing that your worth cannot depend on something as volatile as someone else's opinion. What sense does it make to be a slave to the moods of others? Today they can celebrate you, tomorrow they can despise you. And if your identity is built on these fluctuations, you will never be your own master. True strength lies in knowing that even if no one applauds you, your effort makes sense. That even if no one understands your path, you walk it firmly because you know why you chose it. Internal validation is not built all at once. It is cultivated with small and consistent acts. Every time you fulfill what you promised yourself, you are casting a vote for your own confidence. Every time you choose to move forward without waiting for the approval of others, you are raising a pillar of your own strength. You don't need to shout to the world what you're worth. You need to demonstrate it silently through your discipline, your consistency, and your ability to stand even in solitude. This process is hard because it forces you to face the discomfort of not being seen, of not being recognized, but it is also the only path to freedom. Look around you. Most people live like leaves blown by the wind of opinions. They change course according to what others expect. They crumble with a criticism and constantly seek approval to feel alive. You can't afford to continue this game if you want to be strong. You have to decide that your life is validated by your own judgment, not by the applause of others. What good is it for everyone to applaud you if you yourself know that you are betraying what you really want? What good is it for you to be recognized if inside you are consumed in silence because you are not living according to your truth? Validating your life from within is a declaration of independence. It's looking in the mirror and not needing anyone else to confirm what you see. It's walking with the certainty that your worth does not fluctuate with the gaze of others. It's standing even if no one recognizes you. 2. Turn solitude into your strength. The most imposing mountains do not rise amidst crowds. They rise in silence, far from the noise, in landscapes where solitude reigns. Solitude is not an emptiness to be feared. It is a fertile ground that, if you know how to inhabit it, allows you to grow with deeper roots than any fleeting company. The problem is that we have been taught to see it as a punishment, as a sign of failure or isolation. That's why many run desperately towards any noise, any distraction, or any relationship in order not to face it. However, whoever dares to stay in solitude discovers that there is no punishment in it. There is power. To transform solitude into strength, the first thing is to stop seeing it as a space of lack and start treating it as a training field. Being alone is not the same as feeling empty. Being alone is a circumstance. Feeling empty is a decision that arises from the inability to give meaning to your own time. When you learn to fill that space with discipline, reflection, and conscious action, you stop fearing it and start taking advantage of it. The second piece of advice is to learn to listen to your own voice without fear. The noise of society is constant, and often you prefer to follow it because facing what you carry inside can be uncomfortable. Solitude takes away distractions and leaves you in front of yourself. That is the opportunity you should seize. Writing your thoughts, meditating for a few minutes, or simply sitting in silence are small but powerful acts. You will discover that within you there are answers that never appear in the crowd, because they only emerge when you have no one to impress or defend yourself from. Another fundamental step is to create rituals in your moments of solitude. It's not about locking yourself up aimlessly, but about giving structure to that space. Getting up early and using those uninterrupted minutes to plan your day, read, train, or reflect creates a habit that strengthens the mind. When you make solitude a constant practice ground, you stop seeing it as an enemy. You realize that it is the only place where no one distracts you from your purpose and where you can work without the pressure of others' expectations. The fourth piece of advice is not to confuse solitude with permanent isolation. The idea is not to live locked up in yourself, but to use those spaces as anchors so as not to depend on others. When you go out into the world after having trained in your solitude, your presence changes. You no longer desperately seek approval because you know how to sustain yourself without it. You no longer accept any company because you have learned to value your own. Solitude teaches you to better choose the people you share with because you no longer start from the fear of being alone, but from the clarity that your company is enough. Finally, you must understand that solitude reveals truths that noise hides. If being alone makes you uncomfortable, it's because you haven't yet made peace with parts of yourself that you prefer to ignore. Confront them, integrate them, work on them. That is the essence of the Stoic process. Not to run away from discomfort, but to use it as a tool for transformation. Solitude can show you your weaknesses, but it is also the place where you turn them into strength. When you learn to walk accompanied by yourself, rejection stops scaring you, misunderstanding loses weight, and the need for external validation fades. Because you understand that you are never really alone, you are always with yourself. And if you know how to sustain yourself, that is enough. 3. Make rejection your compass. Fire can consume or it can forge. It depends on how you approach it. Rejection is that fire. It burns, it discomforts, and it hurts when you don't understand its purpose. But it becomes a guide when you learn to look at it with different eyes. Every time someone closes a door on you, you have two options: to lament because they didn't let you in, or to understand that that path was not yours. Rejection is not a sign that you're worthless. It's a sign that you need to adjust your course. The first thing is to accept that no matter how much you do, you won't always be approved. You can push yourself to the limit, and still there will be those who don't see your worth. That's the reality. It's not your failure, it's part of life. The mistake is in taking every no as a final sentence. When someone rejects you, all they're doing is showing it from their perspective, and your value doesn't depend on an external judgment. Stoic practice teaches not to give power to what you don't control, and the opinion of others is exactly that: foreign territory. The advice here is simple. Stop interpreting rejection as a loss and start using it as a map to redirect your energy where it truly belongs. The second piece of advice is to view rejection as a filter. Each no eliminates a path that was not meant to strengthen you. Each person who rejects you, each opportunity that closes, saves you time and spares you from wear and tear on something that would have drained more than it would have contributed. Make a list of the times when rejection hurt you at the moment, but over time turned into a blessing. You'll see that many of the things that didn't turn out as you expected were precisely the ones that led you to where you were supposed to be. This practice trains you to see rejection with gratitude, not resentment. The third piece of advice is to transform the wound into momentum. Rejection hurts because it wounds the ego, and the ego always wants recognition. The next time you feel that sting, instead of seeking immediate validation, sit with that discomfort and use it as a motor. Ask yourself, what can I improve? What can I learn? What is this situation showing me about myself? Rejection is a teacher, even though it speaks with a harsh voice. Listen to it and turn it into fuel for your discipline. Let each no push you to raise your standard, not to diminish your confidence. The fourth piece of advice is not to personalize what is not in your hands. When someone rejects you, many times it's not about you, but about their own limitations, fears, or expectations. However, the natural tendency is to think that rejection defines your value. Here you should apply a firm reminder: your worth does not fluctuate with the judgments of others. Make rejection a compass, not a sentence. If something didn't happen, take that signal as direction. It wasn't the right terrain, look for another. When you understand this, rejection stops paralyzing and starts directing. The last piece of advice is to train your mind not to fear the no. The more you avoid it, the more power you give it. Instead, when you face it and accept it, you lose the fear. Start exposing yourself to small situations where you might receive a no and observe how, little by little, it stops hurting so much. This practice strengthens you and reminds you that life doesn't end with a rejection, that your value doesn't disappear for not being accepted somewhere. That's the most important lesson. The more you turn rejection into a compass, the less you depend on external validation. Rejection is fire, and fire can consume or forge. If you choose to lament, it burns you. If you choose to learn, it molds you into something stronger and clearer. 4. Be the architect of your own mind. The mind is like a city under construction. Every thought is a brick, every belief a foundation, and every habit a street that either opens the way or blocks movement. If you don't decide what to build, someone else will. Advertising, society, the voices of the past, and the opinions of others are always ready to erect buildings on your land. And if you don't take on the role of architect, you'll end up living in a mental city that doesn't belong to you. The first piece of advice to become the architect of your mind is to monitor the materials you use. What you consume daily turns into invisible bricks that raise your inner structure. If you fill your mind with external judgments, comparisons, or empty distractions, your city will be weak, fragile, and chaotic. But if you choose readings that strengthen you, conversations that uplift you, and thoughts that challenge you, your construction will be solid. Decide what enters your mind with the same discipline with which an architect selects the materials for a building meant to withstand time. The second piece of advice is to design your own foundation. Most people carry inherited beliefs they never question, as if they were indestructible columns. Yet many of those foundations are cracked because they were imposed by parents, teachers, or society, and they don't respond to your truth. Take time to identify those beliefs and ask yourself whether they truly support the life you want. If they don't, tear them down without fear and lay new foundations. An architect is not afraid to demolish what was poorly built because he understands that stability depends on the foundation, not the facade. The third piece of advice is to plan the structures you want to raise. It's not enough to destroy the old. You need a clear blueprint. What habits do you want to build? What thoughts do you want to reinforce? What values should be the pillars of your life? Write them down, repeat them, practice them. A mind without direction fills itself with anything, but a mind with defined plans advances with purpose. Just as an architect doesn't let his work drift into chance, you must not allow your mind to become an empty lot occupied by disorder. The fourth piece of advice is to maintain the discipline of upkeep. A well-designed city can deteriorate if it's not cared for, and the same happens with your mind. Each day you must review your thoughts, identify cracks of doubt, repair leaks of negativity, and reinforce structures of discipline. That constant work is what separates those who control their mind from those who are controlled by it. It's not about building once, it's about firmly maintaining what you've built. The fifth piece of advice is to learn how to block what doesn't serve you. A city has doors and boundaries, and your mind must have them too. Not every thought deserves to stay. Not every opinion deserves to be kept. Train yourself to filter what you receive. When someone tries to plant insecurity or fear in you, decide not to let that seed grow. Being the architect of your mind also means being the guardian of its borders. The mind is your greatest work. If you design it with clarity and sustain it with discipline, it becomes a refuge of strength in the midst of chaos. If you let it drift, it turns into a labyrinth of foreign voices that steal your direction. Take command as the architect of your own mind, because no one else can build on that ground with the same precision and responsibility as you. 5. Transform pain into discipline. The strongest iron is not born from calm, but from the fire that molds it. The pain in your life plays the same role. It burns, presses, and hits, but it has the ability to make you stronger if you learn to channel it. The most common mistake is to resist pain as if it were an enemy to escape from, when in reality it can become the firmest teacher you will ever have. The key is not to get stuck in the wound, but to use that energy to build discipline. The first piece of advice is to accept the pain instead of denying it. Many try to hide it under distractions, seeking to extinguish it with quick pleasures that only postpone it. Pain does not disappear by ignoring it. It transforms into accumulated weight that later becomes even harder to bear. The Stoic attitude teaches to face it, recognize it, and ask what lesson it brings with it. This act of acceptance turns pain into raw material, into energy ready to be transformed into conscious action. The second piece of advice is to channel discomfort towards a clear purpose. If you are hurt by a loss, a betrayal, or a failure, do not stay paralyzed in complaint. Turn that discomfort into fuel. Train your body with more discipline, organize your time with more precision, strengthen your mind with more consistency. Every time you feel that sting of pain, remember that you can use it as an engine to move forward. Thus, instead of consuming your energy, pain becomes strength that supports your habits. The third piece of advice is to create routines that anchor discipline in your daily life. When the emotion of pain appears, it can cloud your mind and divert you towards impulsivity. An established routine acts as a structure that keeps you standing when the storm shakes. Design daily practices that force you to keep moving, get up early, train, read, write, reflect. Each of these actions not only orders your life, but also tames the energy of pain and turns it into consistency. The fourth piece of advice is to change the narrative with which you look at your wounds. If you think pain is injustice, you will live resentfully. If you understand that it is training, you will accept it with another perspective. Great achievements are born from those who learn to endure blows and use them as stepping stones. Make each scar a reminder that you survived, that you have more strength than you thought, and that you can still move forward. This vision does not eliminate pain, but it makes it useful, and that utility is the essence of discipline. The fifth piece of advice is to practice patience. Pain wants immediate results, seeks quick exits, but discipline is not forged in a day. It takes time, repetition, and consistency. Each day in which you choose to stand firm despite the discomfort is a victory that accumulates. Don't wait to feel good to act. Act even when pain is present, and little by little that pain will transform into self-respect and confidence in yourself. Pain is inevitable, but prolonged suffering is optional. Everything depends on what you do with what you have to live. If you decide to run away, pain chases and catches you. If you decide to face it and mold it, pain turns into discipline, and discipline opens the doors to inner freedom. That is the true power. Not to escape from discomfort, but to use it as the fire that tempers your character and makes you indestructible. 6. Say no as an act of self-respect. The strongest walls are not built to enclose, but to protect. A city without walls is exposed to anyone who decides to enter, and the same happens with you when you don't know how to say no. Every time you accept something that goes against your peace or your principles, you are opening a door through which wear and tear seeps in. Saying no is not an act of coldness, it is an act of self-respect. A reminder that your time, your energy, and your dignity are not for sale to just anyone. The first advice is to understand that a no does not make you selfish, it makes you aware. Society often labels as harsh or insensitive those who set boundaries, but the truth is that no one can take care of you better than you. Every time you say yes for fear of disappointing, you are prioritizing others' comfort over your well-being. Change the perspective. When you say no clearly, what you are actually saying is yes to your mental health, to your purpose, and to your integrity. The second piece of advice is to learn to identify what deserves your energy. Not all opportunities are true opportunities. Many are disguised traps that end up consuming your time. Before responding, stop to evaluate whether what they ask of you adds to your life or only subtracts. If it does not contribute to your path, the answer should be no. This habit is not about rejecting out of habit, but about being selective and aware of where you invest your strength. The third piece of advice is to practice saying no firmly and without over-justifying yourself. One of the reasons it is so hard to set boundaries is the need to explain and seek approval to do so. But remember, self-respect does not need long excuses. A brief and clear response conveys more security than a speech full of justifications. When you learn to say no without guilt, those around you understand that your decisions are not open to negotiation. The fourth piece of advice is to train the internal tone with which you speak to yourself. Many times you accept things that you do not want because internally you tell yourself that you are not strong enough to refuse, that you are going to lose the relationship, or that you will be seen as someone difficult. That internal voice is the one you need to re-educate. Every time you manage to say no to something that does not fit with you, repeat to yourself that you did it out of self-respect. That reminder builds trust in your judgment and reinforces your conviction. The fifth piece of advice is to observe how your environment changes when you start setting boundaries. At first, it may discomfort those who are used to taking advantage of your willingness, but over time, those around you will learn to treat you with more respect. And most importantly, you will start to feel lighter, because you will no longer be carrying responsibilities that were never yours. The no cleans your life of unnecessary noise and allows you to focus on what really matters. Saying no is like closing a door to open a more important one. You don't reject for the sake of rejection. You do it because you understand that your life cannot be at the service of everything that others expect from you. Self-respect is not preached. It is demonstrated with decisions, and few decisions carry as much weight as knowing how to say no when necessary. Do it with clarity, with firmness, and with conviction, because every no you pronounce is also a yes to your freedom, to your peace, and to your inner strength. 7. Live authentically without performances. The mask may impress in the theater, but off stage it suffocates. The longer you hold it, the more you forget your true face, and there comes a time when you don't even remember who you are without it. This is how many live, adapting their personality according to the expectations of each environment, trying to fit into molds that do not belong to them. Authenticity, on the other hand, does not require adornments. It is living without disguises, even if that discomforts those who expect a performance. The first piece of advice is to recognize the situations in which you tend to pretend the most. It could be at work, with your family, or with your friends. Observe when you change your tone, your way of speaking, or your decisions just to please. That observation is the beginning of authenticity, because no one can be authentic if they do not first identify where they have been yielding. The practice consists of allowing yourself to be the same in all scenarios, without edited versions to please others. The second piece of advice is to dare to express your ideas even if they are not popular. The fear of disapproval makes many keep quiet or repeat what others say to avoid conflicts. But every time you betray your voice to fit in, you are building an invisible prison. Start slowly, saying what you really think in simple conversations, and then take it to bigger decisions. Authenticity strengthens like a muscle and only grows with constant practice. The third piece of advice is to align what you think, what you say, and what you do. Incoherence is the ground where acting flourishes. If your word promises something but your actions show the opposite, you are playing a role that sooner or later crumbles. Make consistency a non-negotiable rule. Ask yourself before acting, does this reflect who I really am? If the answer is no, adjust your course. The fourth piece of advice is to stop begging for approval. The desire to be accepted is what fuels performances, because you believe that your value depends on external validation. Remember that people change their minds easily, and if you base your identity on their judgments, you will live changing masks. Authenticity is born when you decide that your inner voice weighs more than the applause of others. This does not mean despising others, it means not subjecting your life to their expectations. The fifth piece of advice is to accept that authenticity discomforts. There will be those who move away because they prefer the complacent version of you, the one who never says no, the one who adapts without protesting. Allow them to leave. Authenticity filters, separates the superficial from the true. Whoever stays by your side when you live without performances is the one who really deserves to be there. This cleansing of relationships is not a loss, it's a gain. The sixth piece of advice is to create habits that keep you connected with yourself. Writing a diary with your real thoughts, reflecting each night on your decisions, or practicing moments of silence helps you not to forget your essence. Authenticity is not only sustained in grand declarations, it is maintained in small daily reminders of who you are and what you value. Living authentically is walking without the burden of disguises that were never yours. It's having the courage to show your real face even when the world prefers a mask. And most importantly, it's discovering that freedom is not in being accepted by everyone, but in fully accepting yourself. That authenticity does not need a stage or an audience because it stands alone, and that is the hardest power to break. 8. Move forward with intention and firmness. The river does not ask for permission to continue its course. It does not stop because someone criticizes it, nor does it change its direction for fear of causing discomfort. It simply moves forward, crosses rocks, skirts mountains, and reaches the sea, because that is its nature. That's how your life should be if you want to stop depending on external validation. Moving forward with intention and firmness means that your steps are not marked by the applause of others, but by the clarity of your purpose. The first piece of advice is to define where you are heading. Those who do not know what they want end up living according to what others impose on them. When there is no direction, any external voice can manipulate you. Take a break and write down your real goals, not the ones you were taught to desire, nor the ones others expect from you. That clarity is the compass that turns each step into an act of intention. The second piece of advice is to act even in the midst of doubt. Many wait to have all the answers before moving, but that eternal wait is the trap of external validation. They want someone to guarantee that the path is correct before moving forward. Firmness is born precisely in the opposite, in deciding even when there are no guarantees, in trusting your judgment and adjusting on the go. Life does not reward those who wait, but those who move forward. The third piece of advice is to maintain consistency, even if you do not see immediate results. The lack of external recognition can tempt you to give up, but this is where your strength is measured. The river does not stop because it does not reach the sea in a day. It continues because it knows that every movement brings it closer. Your discipline should work the same way. Even if no one notices, even if no one celebrates it, every step you take has weight because it builds character and distances you from the dependence on the approval of others. The fourth piece of advice is not to retreat for fear of judgment. Every time you do something different or break the mold, someone will try to point you out. If you stop to please these voices, you will lose your way. Moving forward with firmness means learning to listen without being dragged along. You can consider useful criticisms, but never allow disapproval to steal your direction. Your path is not a stage, it is a personal journey that is strengthened with each determined step. The fifth piece of advice is to learn to walk lightly. Moving forward with intention does not mean carrying everything you find. Often, the excess of commitments, superficial relationships, and others' expectations drain your energy. Here, Stoicism teaches the importance of detachment. Let go of what does not contribute. Say no to what diverts your attention and focus on what really builds. Firmness is not in doing a lot, it is in sustaining the essential. The sixth piece of advice is to practice visualizing the end. Think about the person you want to become, the life you want to build, and use that vision as a motor. Every time doubt appears, return to that destination and remember why you started. The river reaches the sea because it flows towards it, even though it encounters obstacles along the way. Your life should move forward in the same way, with your eyes set on what you chose as your goal. Moving forward with intention and firmness does not mean not being afraid. It means not letting fear stop you. It means walking with clarity even in uncertainty, holding on even when there is no applause, choosing your path even if others do not understand it. When you learn to live in this way, the silence from outside no longer weighs, because inside you there is certainty, and that certainty is what makes your steps unbreakable. Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If you watched the whole thing, comment "I am Stoic" as our secret signal to know that you're a true student of Stoicism. Don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video, and remember, keep cultivating your Stoic mind.